Love yours. Love yours. No such thing.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Kevon's Life. I'm Kevon. If you're new here, I'm so glad to have you. If you're not new here, I'm so glad to have you. Today's video is gonna be a January reading wrap up. I know that it is February 11th. Better late than never, right? So I wanted to come on here and chat a little bit, just a little bit about the books that I read in January, because I'm very proud of myself. Will this be the most amount of books I've read in 1 month this year? Possibly. For the month of January, I read a total of, I think, 8 books. If you want to hear more about the books that I read for the month of January, if that's something that you might be interested in throughout the rest of this year, make sure you hit the subscribe button and stick around for the rest of this video. So in addition to the books that I read in January, you guys are also going to see me go to a coffee shop and spend some time reading a book that's going to be a part of my February reads, which I'm very excited about. So I'll share a little bit about that at the end of this video. And then I'm also returning some library books that I've had for forever. Shout out to Harris County Public Library for no fines, because I've had these books for months and they just keep auto renewing, and I appreciate that. So some of the books I'm going to be talking about today in this video I don't have because I returned them. So yeah, let's get right into it. Some of the books I have like physical copies for, and then some, like I said, I returned, and then I think about half of these I actually read like on Libby or audio book format. So the first book that I actually finished on January 1st. I had been reading it in 2023, technically like the end of December, but actually completed it January 1st, New Year's Day. It was a banger. Highly recommend this book. I read Demon's Dream by L. Kaysen, I believe, who I believe hails from Texas, because this story and a lot of her other stories are set in Texas, Houston to be specific. So I thought that was so dope for me to be living here, and she like kind of touches on a few places in Houston I really loved. This book falls in the urban fiction category, so if that is your genre. I saw a girl say she made it to the to be side of book talk, and I was like, yeah, that's me. Not that this book is giving to be, it's not. It's urban fiction, yes, but to be urban fiction, not that at all. Demon's Dream is a long book. I think she's like a little over 700 pages. And in my opinion, I'm happy with the 700 pages. I thought it was very good. Even though it was long, I still feel like I kind of flew through it. I liked everything about this book. Like I said, if you're an urban fiction girl, this book will not disappoint you. I will say the girls are in a chokehold with Demon's Dream, and I can see why. Demon, I don't need to say anything else. Who are some other characters? Smoke, don't need to say too much. Like, you just got to read it to know. If you know, you know. So if you've read that book, please let me know your thoughts down below. But I'm gonna give it 5 stars because I loved it. So yeah, that's book number 1. Book number 2 I read was a very quick short story by my girl Ashley Antoinette. If you have been watching my channel, or if you know me, then you know I love Ashley Antoinette down. The book that I read, it was called The Invitation. It is just a quick short story in between 2 of her series. So if you are interested, you can go watch some of my other videos where I mention Ashley Antoinette. If you want to learn more, if you want me to like dive deeper into Ashley Antoinette and her whole like catalog of books, I would be happy to do that because I love her. So I just listened to The Invitation on audiobook. It's like I said, it's a short story, so I think it might have been like a 5-hour or a 6-hour listen. So I knocked that out like January 2nd or something like that. So that was book number 2. I won't give it 5 stars, but like I said, I love Ashley Antoinette, so I'm gonna support pretty much anything my girl puts out. Okay, I pulled out my Goodreads so I can keep track. The next book that I read was another short book. This book is called Star Child, and it is a biographical constellation of Octavia Estelle Butler. So if you watched my TBR video, my 2024 TBR video, you probably heard some of these titles already, but I read this book. Star Child is geared for young readers, so it's like this thick. It took me 2 seconds to read. If you are a fan of Octavia E. Butler's work, I think it'll just be a nice piece of work to read in order to learn more about her and her life and her story, because I'm personally intrigued by it. I just think she is one of the greatest of all times in my personal opinion. So I was very happy to read that. I think it's great for young readers. And it's written by another author that I love. Her name is E.B. Zoboy, I believe is how you pronounce her last name and her first name. And I just like her writings too. She's got a few books out, just to name a few. American Street. She did a like a rewriting of Pride and Prejudice, which I really enjoyed. So you can check into those if that's something that you would be interested in. But E.B. Zoboy and Octavia E. Butler, if you're not familiar with either of those 2 authors, highly recommend checking those out. The next book that I read, I actually have a physical copy, even though it's still from the library. It needs to be returned. Like I said, shout out to Harris County Public Libraries. This book is called This Bitter Earth, and it is the second part to the Sugar Lacey series. This book is written by Bernice L. McFadden, and when I tell you the first book, Sugar, 5 stars. Number 1 is that good. Sugar lives in my head rent free. I just can't say enough about Sugar. Like, it's a wonderful book. 5 stars, both the books. Like, loose ends are tied up here. We get closure, all the things that I want from a book I get in this series. And so I'm actually looking forward to reading more by Bernice McFadden, because the next book that I read is a middle grades novel. This book is called Stella by Starlight, and it's written by one of my favorite childhood authors. I was reading Sharon M. Draper when I was in elementary school. If you're familiar, you might know her stories, Tears of a Tiger. None of her other titles are coming to mind right now. She has a newer book also called Blended. This story follows the character named Stella and her family in a small town in North Carolina, and I want to say about the 1950s. So some themes in this story: racism and segregation. I enjoyed this book a lot. I would give it, if I had to rate it, I'm not gonna rate this one, but I will say that it's very good. And if you have a young reader, like a 4th grader or a 5th grader, that is interested in topics like this might be a good book for them. The next book that I read is also for, I would probably say like middle grade students. So I read Remember Us by Jacqueline Woodson. Another GOAT, so I don't need to say too much about it. This one did not disappoint. It's a very quick read. This story follows a young girl named Sage who's kind of looking back on a time in her life, on her adolescence, and we're following her story through her lens. as she kind of like recalls the memory of this time in her life in this specific neighborhood called the Matchbox. So I highly recommend. I thought this one was a really good book. Happy to have read it. The next two books that I want to mention are actually part of the same series, and I love the series so much that I pretty much read the books back to back. So I read the St. Louis Sires series written by Alexandria House, and the first one was called Goal. The first one was called Goal, which follows a hockey player whose name is Malik, who meets a girl, and it's pretty much just like a cute little love story. I love this book so much, with like one critique. This book so much because I saw a lot of myself in the character. I just could relate so much, and I just love that for me. I thought that was very exciting. I wasn't expecting to relate to this character so much, so that pulled me in immediately. And so my one critique about this book is that I feel like the storyline moved too quickly for me. I kind of wish there was more development inside of this story. I just think we could have like expanded on a few pieces in this story, a little bit more of the timeline. I would have liked to see it stretched out a little bit, not so much that like it's like you can tell it's stretched out, girl, but more so just more developed as far as the writing goes. But I loved it. I'm gonna give it, can I give it 4.5 stars if I love it? I think I am. I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars. But it's really good if you're into Black romance with like some heavy, I would say like some heavy topics. I think Alexandria, based on me reading her these two books, it seems like she touches on some heavy topics such as like depression and mental illness and things like that. So keep that in mind. I guess you could call that like a trigger warning, but I really enjoyed the first book, Goal. And so now I want to talk about the second book that I read, which is also a part of the same series. It follows another hockey player. So these two hockey players are actually like on the same team. So I think what's going to be happening is we're going to get a story from each of the hockey players. There's pretty much like, I think there's like 3 or 4 hockey players in this friend group. So we meet the first hockey player, Malik. And then in the next book, Holding, we meet the second friend in the friend group, and his name is Terrence. And so we get to follow his story in the second book, Holding. And we follow Terrence and we follow Crystal. And so Terrence and Crystal have their own kind of like issues going on, and we get to follow their story and their journey. And I just loved it. It was just so good. Like I said, heavy topics, so there will be like, you know, just prepare yourself for that. But I think Alexandria does such a good job like keeping the humor in this story. Like when I tell you, I don't know if it was because I listened to these two books on audio, and so the readers are excellent readers. If you listen to quite a few audiobooks, these names probably won't be unfamiliar to you, but love the readers and love the narrators. They're called narrators. I love the narrators, and I just like found myself giggling and chuckling to myself throughout Holding specifically. I think Holding was like a little bit funnier than Go. I would give Holding 4 stars. They're so good, and I'm looking forward to reading more of Alexandria's work. She has like quite a few books out there, so I'm looking forward to checking more of those out. See, was that my last book? Yes. Okay, let me know if any of them sound interesting enough for you to go check out for yourself. Just talk to me down in the comments, okay? I want to hear about what you're reading. Since we are in February, what have you already read? It's February 11th, so we pulling up on the midway point of the month. And I'll be honest with you, I've only completed 1 book this month, so full transparency.
Meditating on love, you, roses. The universe told me, put it in a love song. Can I call you rose? Cause your fragrance takes over the room. Darling, can I call you rose? Cause your fragrance takes over the room. Darling, I wanna fly.
I have had this book sitting for about, I think like almost exactly a year now. I picked it up, yeah, like this time last year, and I have every intention to really do the work with this book, okay? So I am talking about All About Love by another GOAT, Bell Hooks. I haven't read this book before, so I decided what better month to read about love and be triggered by love and the lack of it, or all those things that Miss Bell Hooks is referencing in this book. Why not just sit with it in the month of February? So that's what I'm choosing to do. I picked up a few resources I'm very excited to use while I read this book. I picked up the Smart Brown Girls book club syllabus, like the workbook, and what else? I picked those two resources up to use along with this book as I go through it. I'm just really excited to kind of dig in, you know, like I feel like I'm doing the work with this one. So I am not gonna rush myself on trying to get it finished in February just because I really want to take my time with it, but I'm looking forward to kind of getting started. In addition to the resources that I just mentioned, I also decided to try my hand at annotating. So we'll see. I'm gonna give it a try. I've never annotated a book before, so I kind of feel like, do I need to sit at a desk, a table while I'm reading this book? Like, I can't just be reading this book in my bed and writing, because I'm too much of a, if my handwriting is messy, I'm not gonna like it. So we'll see like how it goes with the annotating, but I'm gonna give it a try. So I picked up, or actually I didn't pick these up, a Secret Santa got these for me. I have a bunch more, but this is the color scheme that I'm choosing to go with. I'm really sticking to like the reds down here since it matches the cover page and all that. So I'm going to be annotating. And yesterday while I was at the coffee shop, I went ahead and kind of made a key for myself. So this is what I have. Things might change. If you do any annotating in your books, let me know like if you have any tips or tricks down below, because I'm a newbie girl and I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm going to use my red for things that have me shook, like made me reflect deeply and perhaps even like trigger me a little bit. That's the red. And then I'm gonna use the pinks for quotes that I love. And the purples, I'm gonna do things that I can relate to, like not, but that's what we're gonna start off with. And of course, if I need to pivot and change, and you know, I'll get better at it as I go through it. But those are my initial thoughts as far as like how I'm gonna start my annotating journey, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to read Bell Hooks and kind of find some people to chat about this book with. I know a few people who have read it already, so I'm looking forward to kind of like just, you know, talking about it with them and getting their thoughts and perspective on it, because already I only read the intro yesterday, and I already have like a few things underlined, just can relate to a few things that Bell Hooks has mentioned already. So looking forward to diving in. It's one of my February reads, and I got started on it at the coffee shop, so looking forward to reading that. Okay guys, so those are all the books that I read in January. I was about to say February. Thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Leave me love down in the comments. Keep me encouraged, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.